You know, Craig, I should have played the theme from Three's Company, actually, now that I think about it.
Oh,
that's pretty
yeah.
cool.
The past couple episodes, Carlos, we've been playing The Odd Couple because we've been talking about the unique relationship of President Trump and the President of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell. So we
Nice.
kind of ongoing saga for the past couple of episodes. Three's Company would have been a great theme, Craig. I didn't
That's
think
right.
about it. But
That's awesome.
yeah, so this is the South Florida Mortgage Report, Finance Friday. Bill May, your hat dude wearing mortgage guy. Craig Garcia, president of Capital Partners Mortgage Services, unique boutique lender in South Florida, and we close every deal imaginable. So we want to welcome our special guest today. We have Carlos Gonzalez, the president of Atlantic Building Inspections. Carlos is a great guy and is going to provide some awesome information. And Carlos, welcome. And let's just kind of kick it off, Carlos. I know you've been busy this summer doing a lot of traveling, but I know you're always out and about, and you're very, very informative. And a matter of fact, last week on our last podcast, Craig, I was sharing, Carlos, to let you know that we talked about the Florida Home Safe program, that it's back, and that it was announced recently that the state is added again, the Home Safe program. And I had signed up a couple of years ago from when you did a presentation, and you were saying, "Hey, you got to do this Florida Home Safe. You're going to get $10,000 towards hurricane preparation." And I had my new roof put on earlier this year, and it was a very seamless process. With the state, I got my money within like a few weeks after everything was done. It was amazing. But hats off to you. You're the one that kind of pushed me to do it a couple 2 or 3 years ago. So thanks again. But enough about me. We want to talk about you, Carlos, and Atlantic Building Inspections, and maybe some of the kind of the unique things you might do to help our referral partners.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, just on the My Safe Florida Home real quick, I'm glad you were able to take advantage of it. There's $280 million in the program right now. It is now for older folks who have low income. So just keep that in mind. The program did change a little bit. It's still $10,000. It's still grant money that you don't have to pay back. And it's $10,000 you can use for something else, vacation, fun, whatever. So those folks out there who are, thinking about needing a new roof or windows or doors or garage doors, that may be a great program for you. My Safe Florida Home. Look it up and use it. I wanted to talk a little bit about, how the mortgage industry ties into the inspection industry. The mortgage industry obviously needs to have insurance as part of one of the requirements to be able to close your deal and buy your home. And so when you're out trying to shop for insurance, there are two inspections that are vital. One of them is absolutely imperative, which is the windstorm inspection. That inspection provides discounts for the property and the premium for the wind portion of the insurance, which is the biggest part of the insurance. So typically 85% of your policy is windstorm. And if you can get a 50% reduction in the biggest part of your policy, then, you are saving a ton of money. That also helps the agents by debt to income ratio. So if your buyer is looking for a property and they have a certain number with the debt to income ratio, if they can get insurance at a discounted rate, then they can close that gap of debt to income and they can potentially have more buying power. So that is a great tool for you guys, the agents out there, to use to work with your buyers and work with your sellers. And then the second inspection is more of a mandatory inspection. Any home 20 years and older is absolutely required to have the 4-point inspection, which is roof, electric, plumbing, and air conditioning. Now, in those cases that the home is a little bit newer, we're still seeing insurance underwriters asking for it. It's almost like when you go get life insurance and they require a medical exam. They want to make sure that you're going to live for another week or two before they give you the policy. Well, it's the same thing with a house, right? They want to make sure that this home isn't going to commit suicide in the next 3 or 4 days, and therefore not be able to be insured. So kind of, we help you with those inspections. And what really sets us apart is that most inspection companies will come out and do the inspection, and provide the results. And whether those results are positive or negative, we did our job. We did our job and that's it. What really differentiates us is that we're going to come in, and if the news is great, we're all going to celebrate. And if the news is not great, then we're going to work with you and we're going to tell you what you need to do. We're going to help you with the contractors. We're going to help you if there's work that was changed. Just yesterday, I changed 2 or 3 inspections that licensed professional contractors did the work on, sent me paperwork with their signature. And we don't charge anything else to go back and change and revise and amend these reports to continue to help you get to the closing and to the, to the end of the transaction, if you will. So that's kind of in that realm of the insurance inspections, where we can come in and really help and guide you. And then we offer free consultations, whether we're the inspection company on the deal or not. If you have a property and you're on the listing side, or if you're on the buyer side and you're working with your customers, and there's a problem with the 4-point that's not allowing you to get insurance, that will stop you from getting your loan, reach out to me, whether we're on that deal or not. I'm going to review that report. In many cases, I find where the inspector just didn't really know what they were doing or what they were looking at, and I could pick up the phone and call that other inspector on your behalf. And it's a huge difference when I call them than when you guys call them, because obviously it's an inspector speaking to another inspector, and I lost all my hair doing inspections. So
Yeah,
I've been
I love
doing it. Yeah,
I get it. Trust me.
yeah. I've been doing it since the 90s. My license number is 200. The state of Florida is licensing people in the 22,000 range right now. So,
Wow. That's a
it's
that's
not
an
the same.
interesting point. That is a
Yeah.
very interesting point. I mean, that really solidifies you, really. I mean, I didn't realize that. And it's funny you say that, Carlos, because I've run into so many people over the years that, hey, my buddy is now doing home inspections. Everybody thinks like, every home inspection company is the same, just like they think every lender's the same. And these are the things that differentiate us. And especially from the referral partners, we're doing everything we possibly can to get them to the closing table in a timely fashion, provide great service. And this is really separating you. I mean, like you said, you're number 200 out of how many? 22,000?
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. And
That's
and
good.
that is because they required licensing in 2011, and they started the process of licensing, and they gave a 2-year window to license yourself in the home inspection industry. I didn't honestly didn't think it was for real, so I waited a little bit, and that's why I have 200. Otherwise, I may have had like license number 6. But yeah, when you look at a home inspector's license and you see that the license number is 18,800, you know that inspector doesn't have a lot of experience. They've really just joined the industry, and I'm not knocking on them. They got to start somewhere.
Sure.
But in our line of work, as you both know, experience is everything. Um, there's a lot of subjective questions that are asked on the Office of Insurance Regulation form. A lot of agents out there, they think we designed these forms. We do not design these forms. We only answer the questions on the forms. And there's a lot of subjective questions in there, like, what's the estimated life of the roof? I mean, 3 hours, 20 minutes, 13 days, and 4 hours. How do you know what the remaining life? It's a very subjective question. And if you don't have experience, looking at thousands of roofs so that you can say, oh, I know where more or less we're at with this roof, then you simply don't have the experience, and that could hurt your deal tremendously. So,
Yeah.
keeping that in mind, you want to keep in mind that you want to work with inspectors that have had their license for a long time.
You know what I've seen a lot, sitting inside of a real estate office as a lender, is I've seen a lot of listing agents. They take the deal, they're eager to take the listing because, and whatever, they don't really know the property. And then what happens is the roof is 27 years old, and I'll be like, oh, it doesn't leak, and they think that's all it requires. And then what happens, so they go into contract, get an inspection done, buyer's inspector comes in, rips the thing apart, possibly kills the deal. And then you had said something the other day in a meeting that I saw that was interesting. You had said that you would do an inspection for someone who has a listing to kind of show them maybe some pitfalls they might see even before they list a property, even when they list a property, that might kind of help them along, right?
1,000%. A pre-listing inspection is going to put the seller in a very, very advantageous position. One of the things that I believe is super important is that both sellers and buyers' biggest concern is the roof. So if you're a seller in today's market with the competition that's out there, there's a lot of inventory. So, if I'm selling my home, I may have 6, 7 other houses I'm competing with in the market very near me where I want to set myself apart. So first of all, I want to know the condition of my roof because I want to be able to market myself properly. So if my agent comes in, I don't want my agent spending 6 months, 5 months, 4 months marketing my property for a buyer to come in and say, hey, the roof is shot. And now the deal fell apart, or the seller's going to wind up having to accept an offer that's really low ball, so on and so forth. So getting that pre-listing inspection is going to absolutely let the seller know, hey, this is where you're at with your roof. This is what's the remaining useful life. And now you can market that home that way. You can say, hey, we have a licensed inspector who came in and pre-certified the roof. The roof has 10 years of life. It's in great shape. There's no leaks today, so on and so on and so on. When we do a pre-listing, Bill, the other thing that agents out there don't know is that it includes a warranty. So we do a 90-day mechanical structural warranty from the day of the inspection or 22 days after closing, whichever comes first. So when you get this product pre-listing inspection before the home goes on the market, you are now telling your seller, not only are we going to give you all the information about your house, but we're going to offer a warranty because we're going to take the listing. 2 weeks later, you may have a leak, or you may have a problem with your AC, or you may have a problem with your roof. Well, we've got a warranty that's going to take care of that. No more money out of your pocket. And now the buyer buys the property with a little bit of certainty that, hey, I've got a 5-year roof leak warranty. So if I move in and a year and a half later the roof starts to leak, I put in a claim. It's a $300 deductible for a $4,000 per occurrence for roof leaks. So there's something there for both sides, the seller and the buyer. And you as the agent are setting yourself apart, showing your seller all the value you bring, and really showing that buyer that you're the agent who really cares for them too. So it's I think a win-win in every direction. And lastly, our pre-listing inspections come with the 4-point and the windstorm insurance inspections that is needed for for the lender to lend the money. And what happens there is if we do the inspection and there's a few things that are not good, the seller has the opportunity to fix them. Now we have an all clear 4-point and windstorm. If the buyer brings his or her inspection company, and unfortunately they don't know what they're doing and they create chaos and havoc, which a lot of the agents on this call will agree with, we can simply take that report and put it into the new buyer's name for up to 3 months from the date of the inspection. So again, clearing that path to getting insurance, to getting the loan, and being able to close the deal. So there's a lot of value in the pre-listing inspection.
I mean, Carlos, it almost sounds like, if you don't have that, now, you're going to court. The other, the buyer's got an attorney. You don't have anybody on your side. You're basically taking the one person's opinion, and then you got to, negotiate from there. If you have the pre-listing inspection, I mean, it's definitely, you already have all the information up front. You're in a much better position, it sounds like to me.
And in some cases, what happens is the buyer will forego an inspection because they're going to walk in and they're going to see a professional report with photos and videos and inspector's license number and everything on there. And they're going to get to look through that report and see how thorough that report is. They can even pick up the phone and call us and have a conversation with us. And I can tell you right now that not to toot my own horn, but if I'm in that situation, which I am a lot, and I have a conversation with a potential buyer, I'm pretty sure they're going to see the professionalism and feel that, I'm being honest with them and I'm giving them the reality of what we saw that day. So, the level of confidence, I think, goes up tremendously for a buyer when we have that situation. So, yeah.
No, that's great.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you have a sense what percentage of listings out there take advantage of that type of service?
That's interesting you say that because just as the market, does its roller coaster ride, like we know, when the market gets to a normal place, which is where we are now, everybody says, "Oh, it's a buyer's market." I think it's a normal market, to be honest with you. I think you're working your listings, you're working your deals, and the truth is that when we get to a normal market, this inspection gets very popular, Craig, and then people forget about it. But The truth is that it's right now we've got 4 top producing agents that do the pre-listing inspection on every one of their listings, and I've interviewed them, and they tell me clearly that they will not do the deal without the pre-listing inspection because it slows down or stops negotiations altogether because everything is right there. They know exactly where they stand with insurance. They know exactly where they stand with their roof and where they are with their roof. They've got the warranties in place. They can fight now a buyer who's asking for ridiculous concessions because they can say, hey, we know what we're selling. We've got the goods. We've got the golden nugget here.
Yeah.
And so it really just sets everything completely apart,
Really
differently.
sets the table. No, that's a great deal. And it looks like we lost Bill, so maybe he'll be able to get his way back in here before we get done. But I also happen to know, Carlos, because we know dozens and dozens and dozens of agents that swear by you guys, that you help them in ways besides just the inspection and the pre-listing inspection. Tell me a little bit about BuildFax. I mean, for those people that don't know, and how you help agents with that.
So I was asked recently if somebody thinks of Atlantic building inspections, what should they think of immediately? And I said there's a 4-letter word that they should think of immediately, which is help. And that's one of the things that I think I have focused most of the last 10 years on is helping agents. BuildFax is like Carfax for buildings. And basically it's a great report that we give to the agents. And it encompasses a list of all the contractors that worked on the property. It'll give you a list of all the permits that were pulled and whether they're closed, open, void, canceled. So it gets you ahead of that lien search. It gives you information if the property's been involved in a fire or a flood, if there's a septic system. The list goes on, Craig. I mean, there's so much information in the BuildFax. The agents get them for free. They basically send us an email. We give them back to them usually within 10, 15 minutes. The agents are using this product in a very, very positive manner. They're using it on their listing presentations, which I think is one of the biggest bangs for the buck. And then they're using it also with their buyers. So I'll start with the seller side. If you're going on a listing presentation and you've got a BuildFax, you are the consultant. You are the expert. Now you know when the roof was installed. You know what permits were pulled. You know what contractors were at the property. No. You've got all the information. And by the way, when you leave, the seller is going to Google that and they're going to realize it's a $25 report that you brought them for free and they haven't even hired you yet. So, I mean, I've got a lot of agents who tell me I got that listing because of BuildFax, because no one else brought the BuildFax. No one else spoke of the BuildFax. So I got it. Now with the buyers, if you've got a buyer and you're going, on Saturday to see 4 properties, pull the BuildFax for all 4 properties. When you show up, your buyer's number one question is going to be, how old is the roof? The seller's agent is going to be like, I have no idea. But you, the buyer's agent, have the BuildFax and you're going to say, oh, I know the age of the roof. I know the age of this. I know this. Here you go. So you're bringing a serious amount of value to your buyer when you're in the know and you've got the information. So that's just 2 ways of using that, Craig. There's a ton of other ways of using it.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. I mean, we give those to you. We give consultations to the agents. So if you're on a deal and you're on the listing side, for example, the buyer brings their inspection company and they destroy this home on paper, on that report, maybe a 60, 70 page report, and you have no idea what you're looking at, or you don't agree with it, or the concessions the buyer's asking for are ridiculous, I will personally review that report, call you, guide you, call your buyer, call your seller, get involved and help put the deal back together. I brought concessions from 30,000 down to 4,000, down to 5,000, because they were being unrealistic. Huge. It's a massive difference.
Yeah.
So, those of you who are not reaching out to me for help, I think you're making a mistake, because I can definitely help you with your deals. There's no doubt.
I agree. And, when you mentioned this, I had some technical difficulties there for a few minutes. But when you mentioned this at the beginning of the day, Carlos, me I'm not a realtor. I'm a lender. And I think with so many realtors are so entrenched in how the system works, I see so many realtors, they take this listing, they get the inspection, they have no idea how old, they rely on the seller. Tell them, how old is the AC? How old is the water heater? How old is the roof? And then somebody else comes in. I just had one recently, and they said, oh, the seller only told me it was like, it was an 8-year-old roof. It was 18 years old, and it was a shingle, So it totally reset the deal. And I'm thinking to myself, how could you not have all that information armed and ready So when the
Yeah.
buyer, this is empowering, and I don't know, maybe I'm too critical or something. I was shocked when you mentioned, like, boy, every listing agent should do this, like, on every single listing. And this is something you provide. It's a very, very nominal fee. And I just thought that was really cool.
Well, just think about this, right? We've got a lot of agents now doing open houses. Open houses have become popular again. And we all know that the open house is not really to sell that house, but to gain traction, to get more people in your database, to be able to reach out and touch base with more people. But think about this, though. What if you could sell that house as well? Wouldn't that be a great, extra thing that you can do? Think about an open house with a table. And on the table, you've got the home inspection report. You've got one or two licensed contractor estimates on things the seller didn't want to fix, but there they are. You've got a 4-point. You've got a windstorm. You've got a mortgage, proposal. You've got a insurance proposal. You've laid everything out on that table, and now the buyer either wants the house or they don't want the house. Right? And then if they don't want the house, we go to my next favorite 4-letter word. And I don't think you guys know what that is. So I'm going to share it with you. My second favorite 4-letter word is next. Next. If you don't want the house, next. Somebody else does. There's a house for every person and a person for every house.
Yeah.
So think about now opening, having an open house with everything there, all the roadblocks gone, and you're collecting names and you're putting people in your database and you're touching base with them, and you might even sell that house. I mean, it's a win-win.
Huge. I mean,
Huge.
if I was a realtor, I would get this done on every possible listing, or even said, when your buyer is ready to buy the place, I mean, the offer, these are things that everybody should know. I think it's especially the roof.
Yeah.
The roof is huge because it's so expensive, and if you don't identify, another question I was going to ask you too is, you brought it up. How do you really the age of the roof? I mean, I know it's so subjective, but what are you looking at, Carlos, to say, hey, this is what I really think?
Well, the first thing we do is we go to BuildFax or to the municipality, and we try to figure out what's the last permit of the roof. And the reason is insurance underwriters are not going to allow us just to give them a number. They absolutely require a permit. So if there is no permit, let's say somebody replaced their roof last week without a permit, we've got to go back and find the last permit, which could be from 20 years ago. That's the age of the roof, according to the insurance company. Whether we agree or not, or whether we say, hey, it looks new or not, it doesn't really matter. So once we've established the age of the roof via permit, then we can look at that roof and say, okay, it looks like a 3-year-old roof. It's acting like a 3-year-old roof. It's doing what a 3-year-old roof does. Or this is weird. This roof is 3 years old. It looks like it's 20 years old. A tree may have hit it. Branches may be scraping on it. There may have been a wind event. There's so many factors that go into it. So it's not just get up on the roof and see it and go, oh, it looks like it's 5 years old, so I'm going to put 5 years old. It's really a combination of things, right? Starting with the permit, starting with information, and going to, okay, reality. I've seen roofs that are 5 years old and supposed to be in great shape, in terrible shape. And I've seen roofs that are 25, 30 years old that are supposed to be at the end of their life, and they look like they were installed 3 weeks ago. And you're like, wow, this roof looks great.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, our small part of the puzzle with the insurance companies is not as strong as people think it is. Because as an inspector, I can say, hey, this roof looks great, but it's 40 years old. Insurance underwriter might say, we don't care how great this thing looks. We're not going to insure it because it's 40 years old.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I asked that because, for example, I don't want to keep talking about myself, but when I bought my house 5 years ago and the inspection was done, I have a rather large flat roof. And when the inspector did the inspection, they said, hey, your flat roof says it was put on in like 2000, but there's no way it's 20 years old, and somebody's like, well, it's a flat roof. They probably replaced it. I had like 3 different roofers here because I had a couple of leaks and stuff. They said, oh, they're going to be like 8 to 10 years old. I guess because a flat roof, maybe the prior owner might have replaced it, didn't pull a permit or something. But and I think the inspector did say like that it had plenty of roof life because even though permit was pulled in 2020, it looked newer, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Well, the devil is in the details. And when it comes to experience and expertise, that's where it kicks in. A flat roof and a sloped roof have significant differences. You can take a flat roof and seal it and paint it and seal it and paint it and patch it and paint it and seal it and keep it going for a long time. And you can even fool people. You can paint it with an elastomeric paint,
Uh
and an inspector can come out 3 days later and say, "Wow, this roof looks new."
huh. Yeah.
And the roof is 30 years old and it's been sealed and painted and sealed and painted.
Right.
But a really good inspector is going to go, this thing looks like it's been sealed and painted 800 times already. So that's and with a sloped roof, that's different because you're not allowed to seal it and paint it and cover it. The minute you see any of that, there's a problem and there's something wrong. So that there's
Interesting.
very little, those nuances are very important when you're looking at it. So if the inspector got on the roof and they, for example, the seller in your case had just sealed it and painted it and it looked pretty, the inspector could have been fooled and he says, oh, well, this doesn't look like it's 20 years old. However, it could have been that it was 20 years old.
Yeah. Yeah, it was either, I mean, eventually replaced it anyway. It was either confirmed or denied. But I had a few different roofers. They just told me, no, it was replaced like less than 10 years ago because of, flat roofs, you got the material on top, whatever. And they said, oh, they would.
Yeah.
So, yeah, anyway.
Again, experience. They know
Exactly.
by looking at little details whether that is actually an old roof or not.
Sure. No,
Yeah.
this is all great info. And I mean, our referral partners, I mean, this is huge. I mean, I don't know, Craig, I mean, did you know like that he does stuff like in listings and stuff like that? I mean, that's huge.
No, I mean, I definitely learned some things here today that I was not aware of. And honestly, the pre-listing inspection, I knew people would get that. I had no idea it would come with a warranty that could get passed on to the new buyer. I mean, that's pretty good stuff, So yeah, so it's definitely no surprise why Carlos enjoys such a great reputation, amongst the agent community. And yeah, if you have not been working with Carlos, we definitely highly recommend him, along with many agents that we know.
Yes. Plus, if I'm not mistaken, Carlos, if I'm not mistaken, you are a native Floridian as well, aren't you?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Born in Miami Beach, Florida.
Three of us.
All
All three
right.
of us are native Floridians.
That's not too often.
We're Generation X.
Are we gonna do get personal?
We're gonna do
with
get
Bill?
personal, Craig. Yes, you
With
get
Carlos?
personal at yours, and then I'll get personal at mine. You go first, Craig.
Okay, so Carlos, so we try to ask you a question just to give somebody some insight into you personally,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
So I think I just asked the same question we asked the last guest. So what is a movie that people that know you might be surprised to find out how many times you've actually seen this particular movie? So,
Interesting. I'll tell you this. The movie that comes to mind that I've seen 2 or 3 times, which is rare because I rarely watch a movie to begin with and then watch it over 2 or 3 times. It's a movie called Training Day. I don't know if you've ever heard of that movie.
Oh, yeah. Was that with
It's a
was it
Denzel Washington.
Yes.
yeah,
I mean, I think that's a pretty freaking awesome movie.
that's pretty good.
And I don't think anybody would know that. Actually, nobody's ever asked me that.
Okay.
That's interesting. Yeah. And you caught me off guard here, but by the way, audience, they didn't prepare me for this. So,
I did not.
right,
No, we did
but it
not.
came right up. I mean, that movie stands out as a super entertaining. I think he did one of his best acting roles was in that movie.
Oh no, he's
Yeah,
Denzel
I think he
Washington.
won the
is-
Oscar.
is-
Yeah,
is
that's a great
fantastic.
movie.
And he did a film, actually, and it was the first, might have been the only film he ever directed. If you've never seen it, you should see it. It's called Antoine Fisher.
I have seen it.
I've not
Very
seen
good.
it.
Excellent movies. Very, very good. So my personal thing, Carlos, I know this about you already, and I told Craig, I said, you may be surprised to find out that Carlos Gonzalez is actually a drummer. He played drums in high school and is a huge music guy, big Ozzy fan as well. And I think you were telling me, Carlos, do you say your kids were brought up on Ozzy and metal and everything? Is that what you said?
So I was born in 73. When I was probably about 10, 11 years old, 83, 84, Ozzy came out with, I think, one of his first solo albums. And I heard it and I was just, wow, I was just blown away. I loved the adrenaline. I loved the power of it. His voice was very, very unique at that time as well. And so I gravitated towards rock and roll. Moving forward for, many years later, I took my son and my daughter to go see Ozzy, and they were blown away. I mean, they were like, wow, this is incredible. I started playing the drums when I was 7, 8 years old. A lot of people don't know this about me because we just don't talk about it, but I actually played in several bands through college. Got into recording. We did a couple of, CDs, local CDs, music.
Right.
Played the music scene locally in South Florida for, I would say, up to, let's see, my daughter's 19. I would say she's probably maybe 3, 4, or 5 years old when I stopped playing out.
So,
So for most of my life,
what years were you playing in these local bands? And name me some of these local bands. I'm kind of curious now.
No One's Son is the name of one of the bands. We played a lot over different places. We played at Bougainvilleas. We played. Mark Weiser was actually managing us for a while, so we played Tobacco Road. We played. There's a bar right by which is still there. I forget the name of it now, but we played there for many years. I mean, I love music. I'm a huge, and you would think, oh, I just love rock. No, I'm a huge classic jazz, classic music. I like.
Me too. You and I talked like last year. I was like, this guy is super cool, man. I like, because we have a lot of similarities, and I'm a very eclectic, and I kind of bang on drums, whatever. But I have kind of a very different playlist, and we started talking, you and I, and the jazz aspect is things that you like, and it's real. I love talking with you. You're a great guy. I know you personally and professionally. You're a great guy, and I love chatting with you because you're a very, very interesting guy. And it's rare to find native Floridians like us. And oh, by the way, where did you go to high school too? I meant to ask you this. Where did you go to high school?
Miami Senior High.
Okay,
very nice. Very nice.
Phenomenal.
And are you still? Do you still play the drums? Do you still pick them up? The sticks?
I still pick them up. I have an electric drum set now,
Okay.
so that I can play them on my earphones and not bother all my neighbors.
Yep.
When I was young, I was very, very much against the electric drum set because I really enjoyed the live, loud sound. I don't know if my neighbors enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But,
right.
Yeah. I enjoyed it.
Awesome.
That's
cool. Well, Carlos, thank you so much for being here. It's been very enlightening, and professionally and personally, and appreciate the time, and it was great having you here.
Hats off.
Thank you guys for having me.
Hats off to you, Carlos. Love having you on. We'll catch up again soon.
You got it, guys. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thanks, bud.
All right, guys.
Carlos is great, man.
I love
he's a good
Carlos,
guy.
dude. I don't really love too many people, but he's like a really cool guy to talk to.
Totally. So what else is going on in the land of mortgages this week, Bill?
Mortgage rates, Finance Friday, the Freddie Mac survey came out yesterday, continue to slightly get better, as we were talking about on our podcast a couple of days ago.
Yep.
Let's hope it keeps trending downwards. We touched on a couple of days ago as well, Hometown Heroes. That's already out there. There's stuff in the news, really, really good stuff. I mean, that's all I'm hearing right now or seeing right now. And some of the agents in the office were talking to you yesterday. Hey, all the Hometown Heroes. And there's some kind of questions about the employment. And like we talked about on the last podcast, is you really got to be careful with that. We really got to dig a little deeper because we can't just make an assumption just because they're in a specific field or work for a specific employer, they're good to go. Right. So, and we have other, like you said, we have the home front here.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But
so maybe we ought to wrap it up here for this week.
Yeah, I know we
went pretty long with Carlos, but really good information there, and we'll kick it back next week.
Sounds good, Craig. Have a great weekend. We'll see you
at the closing table.
Woohoo! All right, sounds good. Have a great weekend.
All right, you too.
All righty.